Aloha and welcome to MoonDaze here on New Paradigm Healing Academy, and later you will see this recording on my YouTube channel, which will be at Akashic Astrologer. I am Michelle Jericho Poplar of Queen Mabsy LLC here on New Paradigm Healing Academy Facebook group live, here to tell you about the astrology of this week. Now, let me just take a moment of my time as we are live here in the Facebook group and do the little refresh and get some people on here. For some reason it always wants to tag. And oh, and you can hear me commenting. See if that works. Aloha. Well, welcome to Taurus season. We are now in the sign of Taurus. So, bye Aries. Not so much. Even though we have entered into Taurus season, Aries energy is still hot, tamale hot, because we still have a stellium of planets hanging out in Aries, the sign of action and entrepreneurship. In a life-negating sense, it could be a sign of hot-headedness in the outer external world, could look like some ego, flared egos going at it. So, how do we ground ourselves as this happens to unfold for us? Well, April 2026 is a month that is going to go down in her story. Because why? Well, the events that are occurring now are going to be shifting the balance of the old paradigms that have been run by the plutocracy and the patriarchy, because there has been a wild imbalance of those who have and those who have not, and the half of the population being a little bit marginalized and set aside. The balance of masculine and feminine energies is what is being enacted in this time as these shifts happen. The shifts that are happening for us. Well, we know that last February we had Saturn and Neptune conjunct at 0 degrees Aries, which kicked off Pisces season, and Pisces season was waterly, wonderfully emotional, with a stellium of planets at Mercury retrograde and all of these lovely things that were happening for us. Then we went into Aries season, and piles of planets have been going into Aries heavily activating the beginning and the end of Aries season, and they are still there. And one might wonder, as Aries represents the ego or the identity, which doesn't have to be known as a bad thing. I'll say, oh, not like an egomaniac, but as far as ego, put your ego, your small self, to action, and then put it to task and things get done. So as I was talking about last week, the remedy to move through all of the energy was to move your body. And as we enter into Taurus season, we're now grounding all of that activity into what we are manifesting. Because Taurus is an fixed earth sign, and it is all about what we manifest. Taurus in astrology rules the second house. Aries rules the first house. The first house in astrology is all about the body, the physical form, what we have come into, incarnated in this third dimension to experience. The first dimension, the root, the ego. Taurus represents the second house. The second house represents, well, all of the stuff, all of the manifestations, all of the things. Money, it represents currency, it represents the earth. It is ruled by Venus. Aries is ruled by Mars. Mars is masculine energy. Venus is a feminine energy. And remember, we know that everyone has a little bit of both. It seems though that dynamic keeps getting forgotten. And that is where we lack the balance. The balance.
The chicken pooped on the pillow.
Ooh, okay, we'll clean it up in a little bit. We'll clean it up. So we have these little baby chicks that we're fostering, and yes, they make poop. So everything has an in hole and an out hole. What consumes, it reuses. What is moving through? What are we letting go of? What are we letting go of this season? So I ask you in the chat, what are we letting go? We just came out of a new moon in Aries. Okay, I'm on a Facebook Live.
The poop went off and it went onto the floor.
Great. Here's
Hello.
Coraline.
Hello.
Hello. I'm telling people about the astrology right now. There's Tutu. Tutu is on, and then this goes on my YouTube channel afterwards, so everyone will see you. You okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So I was just telling everyone about
Get away! Yeah. That chicken keeps on getting into the house.
Yes, and then we have the chickens. Because the chickens see the baby chicks in the house and they think, well, I'm welcome in the house too, right? You know, because they're chickens. I'm a chicken. We have little chickens in a little container with their little air pukas. And anyway, it has been an interesting experiment, thanks to my neighbor who lent us a little chicken setup. Our neighborhood chicken lady. I guess I am now becoming a chicken lady, as well as a bunny lady and a cat lady and a just a lady. Because I'm ruled by Venus. I have a Libra rising, which makes me ruled by Venus. Whatever your rising sign is, and if you don't know what your rising sign is and you would like to find out, book a reading with me at www.queenmabsy.com, and I can tell you what your rising sign is and therefore what planet rules you. Now you can rule it as well because we are everything, but you know, we have a ruling planet that tells us, gives us direction. So Venus is who I answer to about the beauty and the divinity and the value, the love. Now I know, like Coraline, for example, is Aries rising, so she's all about the action and the doing and being. Let's get to the point, cut to the chase. So it's interesting that we are kind of opposites in that respect. Now, I've had some charts up. Where did they go? Oh, here they are. Here they are. So today this week we have Uranus on the 24th or 25th, depending on where you are in the world. The planet Uranus will be moving into Gemini, and it will be in Gemini for 7 years. It will be in Gemini. We had a taste of Gemini, Uranus and Gemini, when it dipped in from July 7th, 2025 to November 7th, 2025. So if you think back to that time, it gave us a little bit of a sampling, just like when Pluto did its little dip into Aquarius and back into Capricorn over 2025, 2024 to 20. It seemed like a long transit, that one. It was just like, oh. And then this Uranus transit has been the same thing. So we've been in these paradigm pendulum swings where we're like, all right, it's moving. Oh, no, wait. The planet goes, oh, wait, we forgot some things to do. Just like Saturn and Neptune were doing over the cusp of Aries and Pisces. So if it seems like we've been getting ahead in some ways over the last few years and then backtracking and re-evaluating things, it's because these big planets, outer planets, Uranus, Pluto, Saturn, and Neptune, were doing this dance across the cusps of these major signs. So, it's Uranus's time to move from the fixed Earth Taurus into the air sign of Gemini. Gemini rules the 3rd house, which is communications, your neighbors, everything, things that you do every day, your daily commute, your community, your siblings, your phones, technology. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius, so it also rules air, an air element. So what's going to happen is a lot of innovation with technology, and things are going to happen really, really fast. So what we have to do is ground as the planet's sun, the soul sun, moves through Taurus. An airplane will not take off unless it has some ground to leave. So, from April 25th, 2025 to August 3rd, 2032 will be this next 7 to 8 years is how long it takes Uranus to go through each sign, will be the next transit of Uranus and transition. And whatever house Gemini lies in, Uranus will be innovating and expect the unexpected in that department of life. Uranus can be shocking, and it can be exciting, and it can be, well, improbable. The only thing that you can expect with Uranus is, well, unexpected. So it's best to go into the next 7 years when it comes to your communication, your routines around technology. Get curious, because the changes are coming. There's no stopping progress. As progress goes, we can, whatever we resist will persist. So flow with the go, as Steve Drudd, astrologer, says. I like that term. Flow with the go. It's not go with the flow anymore. It's flow with the go. Because everything's going to be like, whoop. The last time Uranus was here was right as World War II was starting in the 1940s, so like 1941. And what happened at that time, if you think back historically, there was a lot of innovation when it came to air travel and those kind of things. So hopefully there won't be any life negating things that happen that are ultimately catastrophic, because we have other things happening for us that are more enlightened, like the Neptune transit through Pisces simultaneously, and the Pluto in Aquarius, and we also have Jupiter currently in Cancer. So the expansion of nurturing and caretaking is what Jupiter in Cancer represents. Jupiter represents expansion. So there is hope, Jupiter. And nothing is currently aspecting Jupiter right now. So it is standalone, and it is solid, and it is holding Jupiter in Cancer is observing everything else that is going on. It's looking at the stellium in Aries and the sun at 0 degrees Taurus, and it's going, okay, but do you love it? If you don't love it, it's a no. So today, as of today, the moon is in Gemini, awaiting, paving the way. So we're really feeling out what Uranus at 29 degrees, hanging out with Venus at 25 degrees in Taurus, are having their little last meetup, Venus and Uranus in Taurus, to go over what values have we re-innovated over the last 7 years. So this is the time this week to really integrate all of those beautiful, innovative shifts that we've had over the last 7-year cycle, and really allow ourselves to feel what that is. And yes, we are going to be picking up some... Yes, Mama? Is your Mama chicken? Yes, no, you cannot go inside, shall we? So, Lilith in Sagittarius is currently opposed the moon. So if we're feeling a little bit of are my belief systems misaligned? Do I belong with this belief? Do I feel like I belong with this belief? Is the question to ask, because if it is fear or false evidence appearing real based, do you ask yourself, do I believe that I belong with this belief? How does it then go into your practice? Where do I get this from? Who does it belong to, and how is it for me? April 21st, Moon Day, going into Tuesday and Wednesday. The moon will cycle through Gemini into Cancer, meeting up with Jupiter. So what have we been hoping for? What structures and belief systems and what structures around our divinity, Neptune and Saturn in Aries, what actions have we been taking around our divinity informed? Because we have the stellium of Neptune, Saturn, Mars, Mercury. Mars, the ego, or the selfhood, the individuation. Aries is about individuation. Aries is the fractal of source that we've incarnated into. This body is a fractal of a whole. And these planets are all here recalibrating our bodies. So Mercury is about recalibrating our thoughts. Aries, as of this week, is at 9 degrees. So we're recalibrating what actions we take around our body. Saturn is at 8 degrees. So it's about making the right decisions around the structures of our body. Neptune is at 2 degrees, which is about how we feel in our body. And in the higher degrees of Aries, we just had the sun go over the last degrees of Aries and had to make some choices around our body. And we have Chiron, the asteroid healer, at 26 degrees Aries, which is about how we work with our healing patterns, wounding patterns, into transforming those wounding patterns into healing patterns, because we radically accept our physical, three-dimensional, agreed limitations. Can we fly? No. We didn't agree to have wings in this dimension, but we can get on an airplane and we can fly. So our physical forms only can do what we put the work into. If I wanted to do a handstand, I can't right now. I'd have to work for that. I'd have to practice every single day. I would need to do exercises, pull-ups, and all of those things. Do I want it that bad? Well, maybe not now, but if I wanted to, I could work for it. And as Venus, in the last degrees of Taurus, has paved the way for the stellium of planets, which will be moving into Taurus after it is done, after they've done their journey through Aries. But the thing that we had over the new moon last weekend was 8 planets in Aries. And that was a new moon, new beginning of our Aries bodies, which is why I kept saying, move your body. And that still goes all the time, 100% of the time. Because in the new paradigm, we need to be more embodied. It's not about this spiritual bypassing stuff, where it's like the Neptune and Pisces transit, where everyone was just like, ooh, let's look at the rectangle and, like, you know, space out and, like, spiritually, like, whoa, yeah, let's get an astral projection. No! No! The only way out of this school, Earth school, is through the body and being fully embodied and really experiencing what this planet Earth school has for us. That's the way forward. And now the collective, with Pluto and Aquarius, with this stellium in Aries, and now the Sun in Taurus, and Venus and Uranus at the very last degrees of Taurus, are going, hey, well, how do we really manifest a collective embodied reality where we're not using up the earth, Taurus, using up our resources, Taurus, in ways that are life negating, that ways that support the entire collective. These are the thoughts that are happening in the collective, regardless of what political party people are in. If you're not the person on top with the CEO and all of that, you can see the flaws in the system that are not serving the majority. Thursday, day of Thursday. So the moon is going to cross over Jupiter, really expanding, and it's in a square, what we call a square aspect to Saturn and Neptune and Mars and Mercury. So we're really going to be really more body movement this week still, because you're going to be feeling that intensely throughout your nervous system. We do still have the north node of the moon in Pisces, holding that anchor of what the collective unconscious is feeling about opening up to a new spiritual truth. And Friday, the 24th, as the moon goes into Leo, it will oppose, as in a stretch. It's going to stretch the collective. It's going to stretch the collective transformation as it is opposed Pluto in Aquarius. So our feelings, the collective feeling will be like, well, what about me? And then there'll be that me versus we sort of sensation going on. And the harmonic aspect will be of, well, the recognition of the collective fears of, are our core beliefs correct? Are our core beliefs correct as a species? And, well, what does it look like? What new structures do we look like? In what correct leadership is there? If not what we have, what is? And as Uranus is staging to move into Gemini, guess who cuts in line? Venus. Venus cuts in line first. she gets into Gemini before Uranus does. So our values go into the chatty Gemini, leading the way. She's like, oh, come on, Uranus. Uranus is like, hang on. I have a few more things to wrap up here. Now, if you don't know the myth of how Venus was created, well, Uranus was the sky god, and he was married to Gaia, or the Earth, and he would make all sorts of babies with the Earth and Gaia, and they started to get a little weird looking, and he was like, ugh, these ones are weird. And she was getting exhausted having all these babies. So she told her son, Kronos, or Saturn, all right, just get rid of his man parts so that way I'm free. So she had her son, Saturn, go snippy-doo, and then he took those bits and tossed them into the sea. And that is how we get Aphrodite. Aphrodite, or Venus, the goddess, was born from the sea foam. I know, it's a really weird story. But anyway, so that is how Uranus became the first, ruler, and then Saturn took over after that. So we have Venus meeting up with Dad, going, hey Dad, let's go, let's move on. We're done with the Gemini stuff, okay? I mean, we're done with the Taurus stuff. We're done with scaring everyone and shaking things up and upsetting everyone. Now we gotta go into the progress, okay? So she says, okay, here, let me just show you how to get there. So she goes into Gemini, and she's like, okay, here we are. This is it. This is what we're going to create the container for the new values of the new paradigm here, everybody. Everybody ready? Of course, Venus is leading the way. Right? She's like this whole stellium of planets, and she's like all the way ahead, and the rest of them are still in Aries, and Uranus is like, what? Oh, okay. So Uranus goes into, on the 25th, into Gemini, and you will feel this shift. I mean, this is definitely going to feel like a shift. We are also going to be having a fire trine between the moon, Lilith, and Mars. So that will be a very fiery day and transformative. If anything, there might be some wild technology release, and just keep your temper. Do the practice. Get curious. Move your body. Saturn day into Sunday. So just Saturn day, we'll be feeling that grand fire trine, and that'll dissipate. But then you're going to be feeling that really intense square when the moon moves into Virgo. So the square will be from Uranus and Venus in Gemini, which will be in their chatty mood. And then the Virgo moon will be like, all right, well, did you make a list of your feelings, of how you feel about all of that you want to change? And are you going to write your Congress people? Are you going to make a petition? What you gonna do about it? And you better do it fast. That's what Moon in Virgo will do on Sunday. So Monday will feel like, I gotta get busy. But we'll get back to Moon Day after next Monday. So if you have any questions about what the Uranus transit is going to be doing for you in your birth chart, do send me a message. If you're confused about how to book, I can send you a direct link, and I'd be happy to help. I'm happy to report I'm walking. It's sore, but I'm walking. It's been 6 weeks since I broke my leg when the eclipse, the lunar eclipse on March 3rd, a few days after that, when the lunar eclipse was exactly on my Saturn. Saturn rules bones. I broke a bone. But I broke it in a way that's like the least difficult to heal, thankfully. So I'm grateful that it was fortunately unfortunate and more for me than against me. If anything else was to happen, well, I didn't hit my head, I didn't break a hip, could have been much worse. Anyway, how was it for me? I had to learn, because it happened in my 11th house of community. I had to learn how to ask my community for help. And I am very grateful for everyone who has helped me out in this hard time, with donations and to my GoFundMe that my friend Mariko set up, which was really generous and helpful, and so many people have been gracious enough to like help me out with my mounting medical bills. So I'm humbled and grateful for all of that. The best way for me to help thee is to book a reading, because I am here to be of service to help elevate and help people find their purpose. So I am grateful for the likes, shares, and subscribes on my YouTube channel. I'm grateful for my mom, who's here every week. Thank you, Mommy. I love you. And I am grateful for Candace and Isaac Box for creating this lovely Healing Academy space where we can have like-minded individuals show up here every week to contemplate together how we can usher in the paradigms we prefer and less of the old that we don't prefer, because it takes a village to raise a new earth with micro movements and holding that hope. Jupiter in Cancer, still in Cancer, holding that hope for nurturing and caretaking of the earth as we are in Taurus season. And isn't it interesting? That's the other synchronicity that I didn't even really acknowledge till just now. Uranus goes into Gemini and Venus goes into Gemini on Earth Day. Earth Day, and we're in Taurus season. That's Earth. So, Pachamama, Mother Gaia, enjoy her. She can survive long after we're gone. So the Aina is us, and we are the Aina. The land in Hawaiian is Aina. So if we partake of the Aina, that makes us part of the Aina, okay? So you are part of the land. The land is part of us. Show gratitude to the spaceship, Earth School mothership that we are on, and appreciate every single day. The life negating moments and the life affirming moments, because without the ones that we don't prefer, how would we know what we prefer? And that's that. But to have more of what we prefer, well, we have to be okay with encountering the stuff that we don't on occasion. and then radically accepting that those things are moving through, and kind of redirecting our shift through acknowledging that we're not always going to feel peace, love, and joy 100% of the time, because otherwise how will we know what peace, love, and joy is? So in order to be in a state of non-reactivity, we need to practice more neutrality, being centered in self and not self-centered. Because when we are centered in self, the things will shift and change and stuff will happen around us, but that doesn't knock us off our center. If we're self-centered and something knocks us off our center, then, well, how did that happen to me? No. How is it for me? How is it for us? So, Earth, yay, happy Earth, yay, and Uranus into Taurus. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments below and I will answer you. I will read the comments on YouTube as well as in the New Paradigm Healing Academy Facebook group. All right, much aloha. I love you all. Happy Moon Day.